Now, a special presentation from the KTVB Newsroom. Bronco Roundup Game Day starts now.
Looking right the whole way. Now pocket collapses on him and he's sacked.
No, Madsen's down. You can see awkward. He falls on the back of
That ankle.
the leg.
And it's Max Cutforth, the backup, who has not recorded any stats since the App State game more than a month ago. Luke has it, follows a block, now cuts right side. He's got a first down, and plus a flag flies in after the play. Direct snap, Gilliam left side, and there's a touchdown. Third down, Cutforth to throw. Looking over the middle, back of the end zone, it's a touchdown. And an extra point away from tying this game. Cutforth fakes the handoff to Riley. He's got time, and now the football's loose. Fresno State fell on him. Bulldogs football inside the 30 with the lead. They go quickly to the line. Ramirez plunging forward across the goal line. It's a touchdown. Cutforth steps up and it's intercepted again. 3 straight drives that result in a turnover. It's Tyus Kajabi with his first pick of the season. Cutforth, pressure off the edge. Football came out again. Boise State falls on it. But wow.
After the worst home conference defeat in nearly 30 years, Boise State has had some time to reflect and adapt as backup quarterback Max Cutforth leads the Broncos into soggy San Diego to take on the best defense the Mountain West has to offer. Good evening and thank you for being with us here for the Bronco Roundup Game Day Show. I'm Jordan Smith. It is loud here in Snapdragon Stadium. Not necessarily from the fans, but the DJ going crazy early on, trying to get those who are braving out this weather to feel it pretty early as Boise State and San Diego State a little less than 90 minutes, a little less than an hour away from kickoff. Now Boise State, they are going to have an uphill battle tonight. Backup QB Max Cutforth will be leading the Broncos, who are already shorthanded without Chris Marshall and a few other key weapons. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, let's show you what's at stake in this game. Two teams that are atop the Mountain West fighting for a chance to host the Mountain West Championship. Let's pull up the standings. Boise State and San Diego State both sit with 4-1 records in the Mountain West at the top there. Despite how ugly that loss to Fresno State was, San Diego State also suffered an eyesore of a loss against Hawaii. They lost 38-6 on the road. That means tonight's game is crucial. If Boise State can win out the remainder of their schedule, they will secure home field advantage for the Mountain West Championship. And if they lose, it will most likely go to the Aztecs, depending on how things shake out with the rest of the Mountain West. Now, if you look all the way down, even as far as Utah State, none of these teams are mathematically eliminated from championship contention. So this is a big weekend of Mountain West football. And of course, it's going to take place on a very slick stage here at Snapdragon Stadium. We brought Rachel Garceau in to kind of tell us a little bit about the weather conditions and kind of this bizarre weather pattern we saw storm through San Diego. Rachel?
I know, Jordan. It's not often in November that we would trade Idaho weather for San Diego weather or vice versa, right? But today was certainly one of those days. Look at some of these numbers. 2 daily rainfall records set today that I want to point out. The San Diego airport picked up 1.2 inches of rain so far, and we have a couple more hours to go. Oceanside picked up 2 inches of rainfall today. That's just north of San Diego. For some context here, for reference, the highest daily rain total Boise has had in the month of November, 1.15 inches. That's the most ever this month. So pretty unbelievable that San Diego shattered that record. You can see right now on this radar loop, the heaviest rain does look to be over and done with. That's the good news, but plenty of precipitation still in the area. The whole entire area, almost all of far southern California, still under a flood watch. That includes San Diego through at least 10 o'clock Pacific time tonight. So not out of the woods yet as far as that wet weather goes. So I think the majority of the heavy rain is done. Through the day tomorrow, we expect to see maybe another ½ inch in Oceanside, another 1/3 of an inch or so for San Diego. So Bronco Nation, after tonight, still dealing with some more rain tomorrow. The big question is, what will those game time conditions be like here in the next hour or so? Well, the good news is temperature is comfortable. We'll hold steady right around 60 degrees in San Diego for the next several hours. But during the game, it does look likely that those showers will continue to come and go. So hopefully Jordan and Austin, Bronco Nation, checked the forecast. They were ready for the rain because it looks like Mother Nature is not done yet as far as those rain totals go. Hope you're staying dry, Jordan. I think you had to get there almost by rowboat today after all that rain that fell.
Yeah, you know, I should have taken after some of the Bronco fans here. They're all decked out in ponchos and jackets. Again, I feel kind of foolish for bringing sunscreen at all on this trip. But that rainfall that you were talking about, Rachel, it has definitely played an impact here on the field conditions. And we'll bring in Austin Parr, who's back in studio as well. Austin, we saw something very unusual ahead of game time here, especially unusual for a city like San Diego. We saw these field crews scrubbing the field clean of water. You'd think we're at a PGA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely, Jordan. I think the biggest thing we're going to have to watch out for early and often, as we saw kind of in that opening shot, when the kickers were warming up, that's a position that can be huge for this football game, especially for the Boise State Broncos with a backup quarterback. But those field conditions are going to be wet. They are going to be soggy. That means the grass is going to slide almost like AstroTurf, where it's going to be super hard and super slick to get your grip. You're going to have to watch out for the linebackers and the backside of the secondary if they're going to be losing their grip, trying to guard wide receivers inside of the passing game. But the field conditions is something we must look out for early and often in the game. You could see it right there. You talked about it. Just like when they would blow off the water off PGA Tour event greens to get the golf course ready to go for a big-time tournament. That's what they're doing down in San Diego. Field conditions will be a huge problem as we get this game going in just over an hour.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and I think that's going to play a big factor in what kind of offense we see both teams come out with today, especially for Boise State. Maddox Madsen is out for this one. Backup quarterback and Skyview graduate Max Cutforth is taking the reins under center for Boise State after Maddox went down with an injury against the Bulldogs 2 weeks ago. His full injury was not disclosed. We know it was a lower right leg injury during a sack in the first quarter against the Bulldogs. So that means this young backup quarterback in Max Cutforth, who's seeing limited opportunities on the field, will have to take over and take charge and provide a much better outing than he did against the Bulldogs. Now, ultimately, the young gunslinger, he made a couple of really good plays. We saw that first collegiate touchdown pass, and he looked sharp early on, but you could see the confidence wear over time, and ultimately, he turned the ball over 3 times as Fresno State would roll Boise State on the blue. Again, the worst home conference loss since 1996 against the Idaho Vandals. So Cutforth showed some positive signs. The hometown kid is looking at this opportunity not just to prove himself as a worthy backup, but to be the starting quarterback for this team.
A little overwhelming, sure, but it's truly exciting. You know, this is what you dream of, and so it's brought me back and to when I was a little kid, and it's like this is the shot that I've always been dreaming of. Don't waste it.
Walk on, gain a scholarship, and now to play in this game to help keep the Broncos' Mountain West Championship hopes alive. You can't ask for a better stage to get that first real start as a QB. Unfortunately, on top of the rain, he's not going to have as many offensive weapons at his disposal as he might like. We're going to bring back Austin Parr. And Austin, this is a Broncos offense that is absolutely depleted right now, and it starts with their star receiver is out against San Diego State tonight.
It's a big opportunity for him, but at the same time, it's a tall mountain to climb to keep the Mountain West hopes alive, the Mountain West Conference Championship hopes alive, that is. Unfortunately, Cutforth won't have the full Boise State offensive arsenal at his disposal tonight. Going to be missing some key pieces. Obviously, Chris Marshall is going to be out for this game. Ben Ford is out for the year. The list keeps growing on and on. But Boise State, if they're going to face the defense, the number one defense in the conference without Maddox Madsen and Ben Ford and Chris Marshall, they're going to have to get the ball out quickly, early and often to any wide receiver that is going to be available for the Boise State Broncos. Latrell Caples, Chase Penry, of course, Cam Bates. Those are guys that are going to have to step up. The tight ends, I really do look for them to play a big role in this game. Matt Lauder, Matt Wagner, the two Matts, who have the same birthday, by the way. But it's going to be an uphill fight for Boise State's offense to get going against a tough Aztec defense. And without one of their top playmakers, you know, the Broncos are officially in next man up mode on the outside. We talked about a couple of those guys that could take a big time step up, but at the end of the day, this is where the wide receiver room, the tight ends, even the running backs are going to be the biggest piece that has to step up, but they all have to collectively shoulder the load. The routes have got to be crisp. Contested catches, they got to be won by every single player on the roster, and every third down ball that touches your hands remotely has to be a catch from Max Cutforth. And for Cutforth, he's got to trust whoever is in the huddle with him. He's got to spread the football around and lean on the tight ends. Jordan, we talked about it. The tight ends are always open, always open. So find yourself the guys that are open. Take what the defense gives you and let your guys make some plays in space. It's obviously not the way you want to draw it up in November, but this is college football. There's no script to this one. You're going to be banged up. You're going to be shorthanded. You're on the road, in the rain, in San Diego, field conditions. Everything is going against you, but you got to find a way to win this game if you want to compete for a Mountain West championship. The message is simple. If you're in uniform tonight, you have got to be up to the standard in this offense. The standard does not change. And hey, if you want to look at more information on today's matchup, you can text 208-321-5614. We'll send you a link to the game day guide straight to your phone where you can find information on tonight's matchup, our player features, player spotlights, the weather, the conditions, everything that's happening down in San Diego, where to watch, and more. That's the game day guide. Text BSU to 208-321-5614. We're going to bring Jordan back in to talk about yet another player that is no longer in this program. Jordan?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be a defensive slugfest. Boise State is going to be short one player in their secondary. Boise State head coach Spencer Danielson announced that Devon Banks, the defensive back, will not be on the team any longer. He was dismissed earlier this week. Now, Devon Banks is a player. He's been with the program for 2 years now. He really had a strong 2024 campaign, but he just never quite took off in this season, although it wasn't necessarily a performative decision for Coach Danielson to make.
Couple player updates. Devon Banks is no longer going to be on the team. We have high standards to be here, and how players interact with each other and coaches matters. And wish him nothing but the best. Love him, but he's no longer going to be a part of the team.
Yeah, and Devon Banks, he had just 10 tackles through 10 games, but Danielson did not really provide a reason or a whole lot more details than what you just heard. He did say, however, that Zion Washington will return to the Broncos secondary this Saturday against this San Diego State team. Now, as we mentioned, or I kind of alluded to there, Boise State's best chance against the Aztecs appears to be on the defensive side of the ball. And there's good reason to believe that Boise State's defense, when they're not getting in their own way and committing penalties, they're one of the toughest around. The Broncos have allowed just 24 points per game through the season so far, while allowing just 325 yards a night. Now, on the other side of the ball, the Aztecs averaged 26 points and 356 total yards of offense. So Boise State's defense, they're fresh off a really strong performance against Fresno State. We're hoping they can carry that over into tonight, Austin.
Yeah, absolutely. They held Fresno State to 224 total yards, including only 35 passing yards through the air. I know a lot of Bronco Nation fans saw that and was like, how could we lose the game when we only gave up 35 passing yards? But obviously it's a full defensive effort. You talked about it. It really is the penalties. But this is the 4th time this year that they held a team under 250 yards, and 5 times they have kept opponents under 300 yards. And over the last 6 games, the Broncos are giving up just 139 passing yards per game. We talked about that passing defense early on in the season. They're one of the best in the Mountain West, if not in the entire country, with multiple games under 100 yards, passing yards that is. Ty Benefield leads the way, tackles that is, with 7.5 tackles for loss, while Marion McCoy and Jeremiah Irby headline a secondary that has been living around the football with multiple pick sixes and Player of the Week honors. In the rain tonight, this has to be a field position game. The pass defense has to wipe out the explosive plays. The rush defense has to be a stone wall against Lucky Sutton and that Aztec dangerous ground game that averages 180 yards a night. And if Boise State is going to keep its Mountain West title hopes alive with a first-time starting quarterback, this defense has to travel, win the line of scrimmage, and will the Broncos to short fields and extra possessions all night long. While Banks wasn't a key player for much of the season for the Broncos defense, penalties have been. We kind of alluded to it right there with that video. Discipline has been a major issue on all sides of the ball. It's been a common theme in all 3 losses for the Broncos this season, including against Fresno State, where they committed 3 personal fouls, which led to scoring drives for the Bulldogs. Even more eye-opening, Boise State ranks last in the Mountain West in penalties per game and 120th nationally. Let that sink in for a second. Committing an average of 7.8 penalties per game. That is lack of discipline right there. When the laundry stays off the field, this defense we know is an absolute elite unit and very challenging to crack. And it's going to be crucial for them to clean up their game so as not to give the Aztecs free yards and to keep the Broncos offense from having to play from behind the chains against this top-tier Aztecs defense. And also, one more stat, defensive coordinator Eric Shenander said that every time Boise State has had a defensive penalty, whether it's unnecessary roughness or roughing the passer, it has led to a touchdown. So you've got to clean up the penalties.
We've had too many this season, and we had too many obviously in the Fresno State game, and one of our players has had it in multiple games. And we had conversations. I don't shrug my shoulders. I don't have an answer. We sat down like, well, why does this happen? Every time it happens, we pull you out, we go through the discipline, we run as a team, but at some point, if I don't learn from touching the hot stove, where are we going to?
Yeah, Jordan, I learned as a kid, when you touch the hot stove, that's not a good thing. It hurts, it burns. So that's the message and the motto that's got to be towards these Boise State players. Look, these penalties, they're backbreaking for some of these possessions, especially against Fresno State when it would be 3rd down and 5 or 3rd down and 10, and then you commit an unnecessary penalty, and all of a sudden Fresno State keeps the ball. They end up scoring a touchdown, and next thing you know, Max Cutforth, a first-time quarterback, basically has to play from behind. That's just not what you want to do, especially tonight going against this defense.
Yeah, absolutely. San Diego State's defense, they're already as tough as it gets. So the last thing you want is for Cutforth to be dealing with 1st and 15, 2nd and 20. We have to mitigate those penalties to give this QB an opportunity to step back and throw, because like what we saw against Fresno State, we can expect the Aztecs to load up the box and try to take away that run game to force Cutforth to throw the ball. And the Aztecs, their defense, one of the best in the country. They give up just an average of 13 points per game. Number 1 in the league and top 5 in points per game. Meanwhile, we talk about running up against a brick wall with these Aztec defense. Boise State's running game, arguably one of the best parts of its offense, has vanished the last couple of weeks. That 1-2 punch that we saw so often throughout the season has not looked the same against Nevada and now Fresno State. Tonight, the Broncos, they need to get that run game back in a big way. Dylan Riley, he's been the engine all year that's led the Broncos in touchdowns. He's got 745 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, and he averages a ridiculous 7.2 yards every time he touches the ball when it's on the ground. But against that Fresno State, the ground game, it never really took off. It was frustrating for that sellout crowd at Albertson Stadium to watch. This offense just doesn't look like the same group that rolled through Air Force, New Mexico, UNLV. It seems like they hit a flat tire and they're still trying to repair it. And granted, that's just going to become even more difficult now with a backup QB who lacks a lot of experience going against this top-tier defense. Boise State comes in averaging just under 185 rushing yards per game. That's the third best in the Mountain West. But to beat San Diego State on the road, this can't just be a season that's averaged on paper. They have to actually show up. And we've got the running backs on camera. You can see they are locked in for this one. We've got Sherrod, Riley, Gaines, the trio that's been kind of that 1-2 combo punch, and all specialize in a lot of different capabilities. Sherrod, we saw 2 weeks ago against Fresno State, really just become a speedster and get a bulk of the carries. Sire Gaines remains that bowling ball for the Boise State offense to kind of muscle through and get extra yards. Dylan Riley was the big question mark against Fresno State. He didn't get a lot of carries, Austin. And really, I think that Boise State's offense struggled because of it. Now, it's possible that he could have been battling a little bit of injuries. This is his first year as a full starter as a running back, so it's possible he was banged up. But honestly, I think if Boise State wants to get things going, they've got to give the ball to the player who makes plays every time he gets his hands on that football.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to start and end with number 24, Dylan Riley. 6 touches just simply cannot happen if you want to make things easy and take the pressure off of a first-time starter in Max Cutforth. The biggest thing, too, is establishing that offensive game and that rushing attack, establishing the offensive line early and often. You can make things a lot easier, but you also can give him easier reads. You don't want him in long second and third downs. You got to get those chunk plays on first down, on second down, make third and shorts so that Cutforth, as you saw in some of that Fresno State video, doesn't have to sit back there in the pocket and try to go through about 3 to 4 progressions before he tries to find a wide receiver. I assume the playbook will be tailored to his game as well, rather than the playbook that was already installed when he came in during Fresno State. Bottom line is, it's very simple. You've got to rush the football to make things easier on Max Cutforth, and you got to do it against a very tough defense. We're talking about the defense of the Aztecs, one of the best defensive units in the Mountain West. But there is a but. Last week in Hawaii, that Aztec defense got punched in the mouth. The Aztecs gave up a 38-6 loss to Hawaii, their first conference loss of the season. Big plays, short fields, and something that is in common with tonight, a rainy island night that turned into a nightmare on defense for San Diego State. So for Boise State, that game right there is your blueprint. Hawaii showed that this Aztec defense is not unbreakable. If you stay patient, hit your shots downfield when they're there, and cash in when you cross midfield. That's scoring points with Max Cutforth making his first start. The Broncos have to lean on Dylan Riley in the run game early. Use play action to create chunk plays, force San Diego State to defend every inch of that wet and soggy football field. And hey, the Aztecs head coach spoke on the Hawaii loss from a week ago and how it's not a reflection of them as a full team.
You know, we're a good team that, again, had a bad night out on the island. We traveled back. We've had time to lick our wounds, and we'll clean up the mistakes, and we'll get out of it, and we'll move forward. And we got a great opponent with a sense of urgency that we need to prepare for this week to get us right and to get us refocused.
He also said that in order to beat the best, you have to beat the best. But look who it is standing by with Mr. Jordan Smith. That is Athletic Director of Boise State, Jeremiah Dickey. Jordan, take it away.
Yeah, hey, Jeremiah, thanks so much as always for being here. Bronco Nation making the travel despite some less than sunshiny conditions out here.
That's right, man, but it doesn't surprise me. Bronco Nation's elite, and we're used to this. This is a good fall day. You know, maybe the San Diego people aren't, but I'm grateful for them. It's going to take a team, and I'm really excited about tonight.
Yeah, it's not very often that Boise has a better November day than San Diego,
right.
but this has been kind of a special one. A lot of big movement here, especially as we look ahead to the Pac-12. That new TV rights deal that was secured this week, you were very excited about it. And I kind of would like to pick your brain about it because I know some people weren't very excited to see USA Today, the CW. They're thinking like, hey, where's ESPN? Where's all of this? But you sat down earlier with Jay Tuss, and I was wondering if I could pick your brain a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, look, change is inevitable, and this idea that you're going to have to search through a TV guide to find games, that's just not how our TVs work anymore. And so I watch a lot of sports, right? And I have no idea what network it's on. I just know it pops up on my TV because I want to see sports, and it follows what I watch, and I can pick Boise State against San Diego State or whoever else. And YouTube TV, a lot of that is, they're all set up that way. So I'm not overly concerned about it. I think in time, our fans will understand we did something in their best interest. We're locking in on dates and game times that allows everyone to plan. We're going to be on 100%, linear and free to air. Like, that's important to us. We want everyone to see what we are building. Our story is huge, and we talk a lot about that internally, and that's a message I continue to push forward with the Pac-12. We need to tell our story. There's value in this brand. I'm really excited about our partners, and it's always what's next. We have a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to clarify, is this, with this TV deal, do we kind of get to see those kickoff times ahead of schedule as a part of being linear?
We will. We will get to see it before kickoff prior to the start of the season. And I think that's really going to allow. I mean, just this Colorado State game, right? In 6-day window, that's really challenging for people. It's challenging for my family. My kids are in sports and whatever. I understand there's some things towards the end of season. You see the NFL do this where they're going to move game times and dates just because they want to drive as much as possible. We'll navigate that as we move forward, but I'm really excited about that. That is different, and we have to think differently. We know who we are. We know what we're building in the foundation we're building off of. And I'm really excited for us to be able to partner in Pac-12 on the future and what's next in college athletics.
There's been a lot of exciting things. This football season in particular has been very up and down. Last couple of weeks ago, Fresno State's loss. That was a tough one. As an athletic director, how have you watched this football team navigate this path? And there's still that potential to host a Mountain West championship, but now they have to go at it with a backup quarterback.
I mean, there's still potential for the CFP. I think back when we hired Spencer, and we had less than a 1% chance of going to the Mountain West Championship, and we did. I never give up, man. That's not my mentality, and I see what our team's going through. I see how hard they're working, and I understand the expectations we have, but I'm so proud of these guys. Spencer said it before, you learn a lot through pain, and adversity is important. It's important as you're on a team like this, it's important in life. And they are learning through this, and sometimes that can be painful. And I appreciate Bronco Nation. I appreciate how they continue showing up. We're almost sold out at Colorado State. This team needs us now more than ever, and I'm grateful, for these opportunities ahead. You find out what you're made of, and I look forward to those moments.
Yeah, I mean, despite that loss to Fresno State, you still see Bronco Nation traveling to soggy San Diego. It doesn't matter. They're still here to support this team. I think that speaks to how deep those roots are with this team.
100%, and that's the foundation we've been building off of. We have an elite fan base. We have an elite product. We have elite student athletes. The men and women I'm so fortunate to lead on a daily basis, that fills my buckets, man, and it gets me emotional. I absolutely love our student athletes, and I no one shows up to lose a game, and obviously everyone was disappointed, from me and Spencer to our players. And to be in that locker room and see that emotion from them, they care, and they do it for Bronco Nation, and there is no perfection in this, but it is what's next, and it's 1-0 always, and that's our mentality, and we have a big one tonight.
All right, I want to leave you with a final thought. Any final comments, future plans, or anything of what's next that you can share with us?
Yeah, there's always something that we're working on. I'm really excited, and give a shout out to my Extra Mile team and my department, and what what we're building in that space, and that has me really excited. And then obviously there's a lot more ahead in terms of the Pac-12. We are building the plane while we fly it, and there's some things that will come out over the next few weeks and months and into the spring. We're never finished. It's always what's next, and I'm grateful for Bronco Nation and look forward to seeing them at Senior Day in Colorado State. Go Broncos.
Hey, thanks so much as always. I appreciate it. All right, Jeremiah Dickey, the athletic director for Boise State. You hear him talk about the adversity that these student athletes have had to overcome this season. Max Cutforth, probably no one facing more tonight than him. And Austin, you took this week, you kind of went back on Cutforth's journey here as a Boise State Bronco to get to this point. Even before this, growing up as a hometown kid, watching this team play on Saturdays, dreaming of the chance to be here, and now the moment's finally come.
Yeah, the moment's finally come, and what an opportunity to place your name, stamp your name in history as possibly the quarterback that kept the Boise State title hopes alive, because it wasn't supposed to be his team this year, which it wasn't until Maddox got injured. But college football simply does not follow a script. With Maddox Madsen out, Boise State turning to a local kid in Max Cutforth, a former walk-on from Skyview High School, like Jordan said, now making his first start on the road against San Diego State in a weather-filled game. It's a tough uphill battle, but we think this is Max's moment. On a team full of storylines this season, this is the one nobody really saw coming. Maddox Madsen goes down, the season hangs in the balance, and suddenly the keys to the Broncos offense land in the hands of a redshirt freshman from Nampa, Max Cutforth.
With our offense, it's not just who's the most talented quarterback. Can you operate our offense? Because we're a pro-style offense. There's a lot of intricacies to what we do, and Max can run it. We can be efficient. We can operate with Max at the helm. And last week, going into it and really going through self-scout to see, okay, what are the things that we do well? What can our players execute really well? Max can do all of it.
Max's path to this moment hasn't been 5-star. It's been more of hard work and blue collar. Skyview High School in Nampa, Friday nights under the lights, and then a walk-on spot at Boise State, running scout team, taking hits in practice, and quietly earning the trust of a locker room long before anybody outside the building knew his name.
I think the hard work, the grit, and the trust in the whole process. You know, I've worked my way up from being a walk-on, and just brick by brick and play by play, like just over and over, just working, trusting the process.
His first real taste of the spotlight against Fresno State wasn't what he wanted. The offense stalled, the scoreboard read a loss, and the film didn't lie. But Max went back into the lab with coaches, with teammates, cleaning up reads, footwork, and timing, turning a rough afternoon into fuel for the biggest opportunity of his life.
I think just playing within myself. I think there was times that I'd look up at the scoreboard and be like, oh man, we got to go. But just trusting that training, trusting that preparation, and then just making the plays that I should make. I think there was a couple times where I didn't make the play that I should make, and I'll be better in that.
Now, the assignment is simple as much as it is difficult and enormous. Beat San Diego State, and Boise State still controls its own destiny in the Mountain West race. A win keeps the Broncos on track to host a conference championship game on the Blue. And it would come with a local kid who used to sit in these very stands, now steering the whole thing from under center.
What I love about Max is he never gets too high or too low. And similar, him and Maddox are very different personality, different players, all that. But like he's a very cool, calm competitor. Even in the Fresno State game, things are not going our way. We're not playing well, and that's not Max's fault. Just in general, if anything, it's my fault. But he never was deer in the headlights. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, what is this moment I'm a part of? He was just like, Coach, I'm on it. I got it. Let's go.
For Bronco Nation, it's a brand new face in the huddle. For Max Cutforth, it's everything he's been working towards since those Skyview days. A chance to prove he belongs as the guy and not just the next man up. If he can deliver on Saturday, the walk-on from Nampa won't just be a good story anymore. He'll be the quarterback who kept Boise State's title hopes alive. And when his number was called, Max answered. We will see shortly, very shortly, if Max will answer the call, because no matter what happens tonight in San Diego, though, Max Cutforth has already turned his dream into a reality. But if he can stack a road win on top of that, his journey from Skyview to starter becomes one of the defining stories of this Boise State season. It's going to be a tough battle, but I do think he's up for it. He's going to learn from those mistakes and get the job done down in San Diego. We got to get to our today's Bronco Rewind.
Bronco Roundup Rewind, sponsored by your local Toyota dealers.
Speaking of backup quarterbacks, the Mountain West standings really quick. We already talked about it. You know, the Boise State Broncos, one conference loss. Aztecs, same thing. Jordan, you kind of just heard Max's story. You know, biggest thing for him in your mind that he had to improve on, what was that between the Fresno State game and tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question to answer because, you know, Max is a guy, he knows the offense. It's a tough one to learn. You heard Coach Danielson talk about it. It's a pro-style offense. There's a lot of moving pieces, and a lot of this is dependent on if that run game can get established. So if Boise State falls on their face offensively, a lot of people immediately look to the quarterback. There's a lot of moving pieces, but I think if there's one thing he needs to do, have a short memory and just memory of a goldfish. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It's just being able to just take in, if it's a bad play, just wash it out and then just move on to the next play. I will say the thing that I think he could improve upon the most, make sure to get the ball out just a little bit quicker. We saw against Fresno State, he would hold on to the ball just a hair too long, and every time he did, it led to a turnover, a sack, or an incompletion. So he would start to second guess himself. I think a lot of that just had to do with the venue at the time. You know, being a backup, you're cold coming off the bench into one of the biggest games of the season. You grew up watching the team. I mean, there's so much pressure. It's a sellout crowd. I think there was a lot of pressure for a kid to come in there and perform at a high level, and I think that ultimately we saw that. He's had a chance to kind of take a step back, get a little bit more comfortable with the offense. We saw Mad Dog dapping him up here as he came onto the field. He's got the confidence of this team. We've seen what he can do in practice, and he was delivering some good balls out there in warm-ups.
I do agree that it's the decision making. He was holding on to the football a lot more. I do think, I did kind of touch on this earlier, that the playbook will be more tailored to his style. I mean, I know that Potter knows that this Aztec defense is daunting, and he's got to get rid of the football quickly so that he can make more accurate throws. And then he's got to trust his reads, right? There was a couple of different times where he went through a first read, second read, third read, didn't really trust it, maybe tried to force a couple of plays. But he's had over a week and a half, almost 2 weeks to prepare for this football game. And the best thing for Max, too, he's got Maddox Madsen in his ear as a coach. Nothing like your starting quarterback dapping you up, getting you confident, prepared for one of the biggest opportunities of your life down in San Diego with the Mountain West Championship on the line. So for Max Cutforth, a little bit of quick decision making, fix the footwork a little bit, get rid of the ball, trust your reads, and then obviously lean on your tight ends. That's going to be my biggest things that he needed to improve on. But Jordan, we'll kick it out back to you. We're going to talk about some standings, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about some standings. If you're just joining us here, here's a look at kind of what's going on and what's at stake headed into this matchup against San Diego State. Boise State and the Aztecs sit atop of the Mountain West, both with 4-1 conference records. If Boise State can win their remaining 3 games, again, they'll have that chance. They will clinch, I should say, the Mountain West Championship at Albertson Stadium on the blue. But if a loss today makes that a lot more complicated, they're going to need some outside help. So this is the opportunity for both of these teams to do the easy thing and control their own destiny. As you see there, all those teams down to Utah State, they are in championship contention. So a lot has to go right for the Broncos if they lose this one. That's what's at stake coming into this. Well, we are just under 20 minutes away, and if you're just joining us and you missed the first part of the show, good news, we've got the game day guide for you. You can just text the number on your screen there, and we will deliver the game day guide directly to your fingertips. You can browse through player profiles, in-depth game analysis, statistics in the uniforms the Broncos are wearing. All that and so much more is created by our producer, Carson Cloud, and it'll be on your phone within seconds of texting that number. Well, you see Boise State faithful. They are making their way out to San Diego. They're braving the storm. A lot of blue and orange in this scattered attendance so far. I think that this rain kept a few fans from attending, and it's understandable because this is not weather that's very typical for the Southern California. But Boise State, they'll say, hey, you know what? We'll take this. It's usually worse weather in November. I know, Austin, this is a little foreign to you. You mentioned that you hadn't really quite seen a storm that had rolled through here like what we saw earlier this morning when it was just a downpour. All of our cameras, the desk, me, were just getting splattered with that rainfall.
Yeah, especially that photo of the river behind you that was supposed to be a grass field, but it was absolutely water. just flowing through there. Atmospheric river in the state of California, I don't think those have ever been used in the same sentence. That weather out there looked absolutely crazy this morning. Glad it's gone now. Hopefully that helps the field conditions a little bit. Obviously, you talked about it. It's still super soggy out there, but pretty crazy. I've never seen a storm like that in all the years I've been in California.
But you know what? Well, they're playing on a grass field here behind us. And you know what? Every football player will tell you there's something about playing football in the mud. It doesn't always end well, but it's a lot of fun. I know these players, they're not going to let a little rain get in the way of a high octane game that we have here behind us. With that, it's time to bring in our keys to the game if Boise State wants to get a win.
Bronco Roundup Keys to the Game is sponsored by your local Ford stores.
Well, we've been sort of hinting at it all night. It's keep it simple for Max Cutforth. The young gunslinger, he's got a lot of talent, but we see what happens when he starts to overthink and keep the ball a little bit too long in his hands. Keep it to those basic out routes, slants, maybe the bubble screens to get him a little bit more comfortable as he eases into this game against the top defense in the Mountain West. A lot of that pressure, though, is going to be on the running backs to take some of that pressure away from Max from being in 3rd and long situations. With that, key number 2, give Mr. Riley the football. He has kind of lacked touches the last couple of games here, and Boise State's run game has struggled to get going against now both University of Nevada and Fresno State, on the blue. But Dylan Riley, he's a player that makes plays happen when he gets the ball in his hand. I feel like if he can get going tonight, it takes the pressure off Cutforth, and the Broncos can get rolling. And the final key to the game tonight, Broncos have got to limit penalties on all sides of the ball. They are the most penalized team in the Mountain West. They rank 120th nationally. This depleted offense cannot afford to play behind the sticks, while that defense cannot afford to give up 3 yards and keep a lackluster Aztec offense on the field any longer than they need to be. How's that, Austin? Did we cover them all?
Yeah, I think we covered everything. The penalties are obviously a huge one. That's something we bring up almost every single week in that Monday press conference. It's kind of getting a little frustrating to have to bring that up every single week. Let's hope that's not the case this week. With the Dylan Riley part, you and I kind of talked about this. Sire Gaines might have a big-time game as well. Maybe give him the football on 1st and 2nd down and make sure that Dylan Riley gets the ball in space, possibly some running back screens, maybe some swing passes, because Dylan Riley is so explosive outside the tackles and outside the numbers, whereas Sire Gaines is more of that kind of big bulldozing back. They're both very, very athletic and very speedy is the word I'm looking for. But, yeah, hopefully get Dylan Riley the ball out in space. That'll be the key to the game.
Yeah, I think you've got a guy like Sire Gaines who is afraid of nobody running inside the tackles. If he can just find his groove and get going, I think that's going to be, this is the opportunity for it. I think the other thing we didn't really quite talk about is we're in week 10 of a college football season against 2 very physical teams. This is going to be so much of this game is going to be predicated upon mental toughness, winning that battle in the trenches. You're beat up. You're 10 weeks into the college football season. You're going to be sore, and it's 2 teams that love to just ground and pound the opponent as best as they can and try to squeak out the win. And it's going to come down to some mental toughness and a lot of physicality in the trenches, Austin.
Yeah, I completely agree, Jordan. But, hey, no better time for a bye week than for Boise State, right? I mean, that's a time to get right, get your bodies right, heal up some injuries, get those kind of banged up little knickknacks, sore knees, sore backs, sore shoulders, whatever it is. That Boise State had a bye week. They're not going to be fully healthy, obviously, but they'll be a lot more fresh as if they didn't, versus San Diego State coming off a game in which they got thumped against Hawaii. It might be a little bit more beat up and sore. So look for that BSU offensive line as well to maybe take control early, see how much pushback they got. But yes, this is a battle of the trenches. I know everybody loves the trenches battle. I do, but not everybody does. But battle of the trenches, it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, you know, if you like...
Yeah, I know one thing that we have to
I was going to say, if you like defense, this might be the game for you. So we've got two really stout defenses going to slug it out here in just under 15 minutes. Austin, I kind of want to give you the opportunity. You gave it to me first. Talk about score predictions headed into this one. What do you expect to see play out here on the field behind me tonight?
This is what I expect. I'll be completely honest. I am been terrible at these predictions. Nothing that I say has ever gone right except for the first 2 games of the season. So we're going to go something different, and maybe it'll help. I got San Diego State winning this one in a very close, grind it out, beat each other up style football game. 10-7, Aztecs. Bronco Nation disappointed heading back to Boise. What about you?
10-7. Man, you're going to give us a lot of exciting highlights. That's kind of the fortune you're telling. Okay,
that's
fine.
Your job.
I'll say this. I think that Max, as much flack as Max Cutforth caught against Fresno State, I do think he's a very talented QB. I don't think the pressure is going to get to him tonight. I feel like Boise State might come in here and surprise people with the air attack. I'm going to give Boise State the win. 17-7 on the road. They get it done against the Aztecs, and they get the season back on track. That may be a hot take, but hey, we got to root for the home team here, and I believe in Max Cutforth. That's what I think.
You said air attack, so if they get to 17 points, you're saying that Max is going to throw for both touchdowns? Is that what I hear out of you, Jordan Smith?
Ooh. Look, I feel like if the Aztec defense is going to prepare against the run game, why not just throw it deep? First play of the game, you know? I'm no offensive coordinator, except in Madden, so don't listen to me, but that's just my prediction.
Just drop back, little play action,
on the field.
Let it go.
Hey, never let it go. Let him air it out. Let's see what this Skyview grad is made of. Well, that is going to be it for us here from Snapdragon Stadium. We are going to have the highlights for you likely tomorrow. I think the game will still be going on by the 10 o'clock news. It's a late start for you guys back there in Boise at 8:30, but I appreciate you guys being with us here.
Don't forget Sunday Sports Extra.
Smith, Austin Parr back in studio. Can't forget that. That's where we'll have all the highlights and much more. Sunday Sports Extra coming up after the news tomorrow night. Thanks for being with us.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.